Hello, GrayDB here once again with another video on doing textures in Blender. In the previous video, I talked to you about how to create a stripe pattern in Blender. Well, once you know how to create a basic stripe pattern in Blender, it's just a very easy step to go from a simple basic stripe pattern to a more complex pattern like a plaid, like the shirt I'm wearing right now. Now I'm not going to try to design the one that I have right now, but I'm going to use it kind of like as an inspiration to kind of show you how to create a pattern. I'm going to also show you a little trick that I like to use for coming up with color combinations. And by the end of the video, I'm also going to show you a particular type of plaid called argyle. It was something that I had initially struggled with trying to figure out, but once I figured out how to do it, it was really simple, and it's basically going to take all the same ideas that we used. We're just going to layer a couple of things, a couple extra things on there. All right, let's get started. All right, as you can see, I still have the same character setup that I had before with the same shirt layout and everything. Again, we're just going to be messing with this stuff right here, but I'm going to make a little bit more room so that we can do the other things that we're going to try to do. I'm just going to move all this stuff over just a bit there like that. And okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to basically take everything that we were just doing in the last video, and I'm going to basically duplicate this one and this one. So we're going to Control Shift D. I used the Control Shift so that we kept the connection to the mapping node. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in a color mix node. So we're going to go Mix Color, and then we're just going to combine these two, and we'll plug this into where our color was before. And we're going to change one thing, all right? Previously, we used just the Y. We're going to change one of these, and we're going to make it X. So we're going to just change one of these to X. The other one is Y. And just like that, you got a simple basic for setting a new, a more complex pattern, all right? So let's just create a different set of colors here. So what I'm going to do is I have an image of a sunset right here that I took the other day. And so I'm going to use that to pull some colors. So let's see, let's take this blue and let's grab like this dark color. Whoops, nope, that was not the one I thought I had. All right, let's grab this one. We'll grab a blue here. We'll grab, and maybe I want to grab up here. We'll go with like it. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. All right, and then we'll pull like, let's go with this kind of an orangey color. I think I like that. Okay, and let's see, what else can we play around with? Kind of like this reddish, but like I almost feel like it's gonna be like I'm gonna pull a little bit more. So let me see, let me get one of this lighter blue over here. So we'll get this lighter blue, and okay, so we'll use one more, and we'll give this kind of like this yellowish, if I can get into it. Like that. Okay, now I'm gonna just take this. Now I've got several flags here. I'm just gonna move these. Let's do this one at 0.2. We'll pull this one at 0.25, and then 0.4. And then we'll duplicate this one, and 0.5. Wait, no, I want this one right here. There we go. And then we're gonna take this one. Let's see, that was 0.4. So we're gonna make this flag 0.75. No, I feel like that's too much. 0.65. Yeah, that looks like that's about right. Okay. And then we'll come over here. And that was only a 0.5. So if that's 0.6, if this is 0.65, then we'll make this one 0.7. And that should kind of give us like that A, B, C, B, A type pattern kind of repeating. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this one right here, Shift D, and then we're just going to Control X this one. And just like that, we just duplicated. All I did was just duplicated the work that I had done with this one and plugged it into this color ramp right here. And just like that, you have like a color ramp for your plaid. Now, what I would probably do is I would just pull one of the colors from the color ramp, like say the gray, and I would make that my color that I would use for my cuffs. I could have used any of the colors from there. Now, one of the cool things about this kind of setup like this right here is we can make this even more complicated by adding in another layer. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take all of this, I'm gonna take all that right there, and we're gonna Control Shift D, pull that up here. Just gonna pull this out of the way for the moment. All right, now for this one, I'm just gonna reset both of these right here. Now, what I'm gonna do is I want for this one, what I'm gonna want to do is like just like a single little stripe color. So I'm gonna put this back on constant. Put these back on constant. Go. And if I just pull these down. Now, if you notice right here, if I put these at 0.5, that at 0.5, you can see I've got like a 3-tone black and white pattern. We'll come back to that here in just a minute because we're actually going to take advantage of something like that. But what's really cool is if you flip through some of these different blending modes, you can come up with all kinds of some interesting little patterns on variations on those patterns that you had already created, and they can help you to create a lot more interesting shapes or color things that you can use. For example, we have one of these in here, if I remember right, does, nope, maybe, oh, if I adjust this to right here, I got difference in this kind, and with difference at a factor of 1 to 1, I basically come up with a two-tone variation, but it's in like a checkered pattern, which I know you can use the checkerboard, but there's a reason why I want to be able to use this, and I'll show you that in a little bit when we get to the argyle. But before we get to the argyle, we're going to play around with this one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these flags right here, and I'm going to turn the alpha down on it. And so let's see, we'll pull it down kind of like, like somewhere, like let's go 0.1. And then we'll go 0.2. 2. And then let's see. We'll go 0.8 and 0.85. No, 0.9. I don't know. I'll have to see here in just a minute on exactly where we're going to do it. But we're going to pull in this kind of a lighter strip right there. I'm going to flip this back to a mix and 50-50 or 0.5. So just like I did before, we're going to duplicate this. We're going to Control X to remove that. So now we have this secondary plaid pattern going on. What we're going to do is we're going to mix that with the original pattern that we had. So if I copy that, do that. And just like that, we've created a more complex version of the plaid. And one of the nice things about doing it this way is that you've got all different kinds of layers going on there. You can add as many stripes and layers as you want to create a more and more complex. And what's really cool about doing it this way is you'll still see the color of the ones underneath when you're doing it with the mix mode, as opposed to doing it this, like adding this second layer of complexity just adds a little bit extra oomph to the way that the colors kind of overlay on top of each other. And you don't even have to do it at a 50-50, because like you can always like make one of them stronger than the other. So you can always do it so that one of them is stronger than the other. And you can always do it so that, say, your X's you can do it so that they're on a different scale from each other. So let's say we put let's say we did 7 for the Y scales. I'm just adjusting both of them so they both kind of come off to the same thing. So one direction, it's a little bit, it's the same pattern on both of them, but one of them it's repeating more frequently. The reason I show these different patterns is these are all patterns that I have seen in different things that I have looked at over the years. All right. So this right here is our sunset inspired plaid pattern. All right. So I'm going to take this setup. I'm going to save that so that I don't lose it. But remember what we were talking about? I mentioned that we had that diamond pattern setup, right? So let's come back to our thing here. We're gonna reset these, put these back on constant. And then I'm going to move these markers over here back to 0.5. So just like that, I've got these, whoops, not that one. This one needs to be to 0.5. Got that little mix up in there. All right. I'm going to keep it with the, actually, you know what? Let me, well, no, okay. I'm just going to back up just a little bit, because I'll duplicate one of these. All right, now redo that. Constant 0.5, constant 0.5. It's just like a value that I found works really well for what I'm trying to do right here. All right. Now, one thing that you can do is, because like, you want to try to keep these scales as uniform as possible sometimes. So what you can do is use a value node to control the scale of all these things that you want to control the scale on. Well, I'm just going to plug those in. All right. And sometimes you want a slightly, you might need to do a slightly different thing with the direction in which something is rotated. So I'm going to go ahead and Control-Shift-D the mapping node here. And I'm going to rotate one of these 180 degrees. It'll make sense why we're doing 180 here in just a minute. Let's see. We need to organize things a little bit. Let me go shift right there. What I'm just doing is adding in some little reroute nodes to make that a little bit more readable, especially once we kind of plug this in here. That way we know where things are going. All right, there you go. I'll just pull these back over just a little bit. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is for one of these, I'm going to plug in this new vector. And I'm going to plug in for one of these here. So two of them are getting the original vector, two of them are getting the new vector that we're going to, the rotated vector. All right, and I'm going to switch these all from X and Y to diagonal, which is why I rotated. I find that if I try to use the X, Y, and I rotate it, I'm not able to control things nearly as neatly. So that's why I'm using the diagonal one and rotating the one of the diagonals. It works out better for trying to do things precisely without having to do some calculation manipulation and not precisely being able to get the things to work right. All right, so now that we've got all that, what do we wind up with when we look at this node right here? Nothing. What's wrong? Oh, I don't have a value for my scale. Let's put in a value. For the scale, all right. Okay. Hello. Oh. Oh, because I didn't need it 90. Didn't need it 80. I needed it 90. All right. There we go. I rotated it too far. That's what happened. All right. So we've got it rotated that way. Now, what I'm going to do, just for a little fun, is I'm going to scale the original base on. Oh, you know what? Okay. So I'm going to make one, whoops, make one little tweak here. because I'm going to have this one be what goes to here. All right. And the reason being is I can scale the X here, and it's going to do it for the entire chain, not just the one. So that's what I wanted. All right. So now that I have this pattern, what do we do with it? All right. So this is where we're going to bring back our original color ramp that we had. And let's see, we got 3 different colors here. Let's just kind of move things around until we start seeing. Okay, so we saw a color shift there. Okay, now I thought I had a 3-color one here. I do have a 3-color. All right, so where is my 3rd color? Let me see. Which 3 do I want to use? So let's subtract that one out. And all right, this way. Now we only have the three different colors. All right, there we go. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Something like that. All right. So we've got our three different colors. All right. Now, on top of this, we're going to overlay our little crossing thing that we had up here. So if we feed this into here, and we feed our crossing over into here. Whoops. There and there. Okay. Nope. Wait a minute. That's not what I wanted. There we go. That's what I wanted. So we're going to pull that out. That's going to go into here. Lost track for a moment of what I was mixing into what. All right. There we go. So now what I have going on is I have the stripes going onto the things here. So I just need to adjust the position of these right here. All right, so if I adjust this, let's go 0.3 and 0.2. And now that's precisely in the middle. And I just going to do the same thing over here. So we're going to go 0.7 and 0.8. And what that does is it something's not right. Oh, because I got to do that to the other one too. Right. Shift D. Come on. Hit that. There we go. And with that, we have our argyle pattern. But I mean, you can see how easy it is to just kind of play around with the different patterns. See, like these right here, basically, like right around where the numbers I'm using here are 2.5 and 7.5 are the midpoints of where the stripes are. So what I'm trying to do is make these values right here be even on either side, so that that stripe is precisely in the middle. And then from there, it's just a matter of figuring out the color combinations that you like for your argyle. But that is essentially the steps of how you create the argyle. Not necessarily a fan of this particular color combination. It didn't work out quite as nicely. I'm not quite sure. It probably has something to do with the color combinations, with the way that the color mixes. I have to go back and look at some of my other files where I've done this, where I've had a little bit more of a brighter color to see if I can figure out why this particular one came out less vivid. But that's essentially how you create a argyle pattern. I sat down and I spent some time after I finished up and figured out what I was missing for the clarity of the pattern. And basically all I did was take the after I created the stripe pattern, the crossing pattern, I did a color ramp to find the black and white of where the pattern is, and used that as our factor for our mix node, and just trying different values just to see the way that the stripes would look under different values. Comes up with different looks. So for example, this is what screen would look like, and then that's what gives us our overall pattern on the argyle. So that's going to be all for this video. I hope you found this instructive and informative. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how I took what I learned from doing crossing stripe patterns to be able to create other types of patterns like a chevron or a ripple pattern, and how I learned a little tweak from that to create a whole bunch of other patterns that you can use either by themselves or as the basis for some of the things that we've already, similar to what we've already done. We'll see you in the next video.